This is the Comin Home podcast with John Allen. Oh, Happy New Year to everybody. From me to you. A better year for us all in 2022. Do you like that? Maybe we should start a chant. A better year for me and you in 2022. A better year for me and you in 2022. Or maybe not. Maybe not a chant. No, let's at least get it stuck in our minds that we're going to have a better year in 2022. I certainly hope we all do. Oh my gosh, I rhymed again. Welcome to all of you. I thank you so much for being here, listening to me on Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. I have some great guests lined up for today. We're going to talk about how to go into this new year and keep the positivity all year long so that it doesn't fade away. Speaking of not fading away, I want you all to stick around for this entire show. The first hour is talk radio, second hour, smooth soul and R&B. Okay? Stick around, people. FM 24. Now, it's a new year. Just about everybody makes these New Year's resolutions, these promises to themselves that they're going to do something to make their lives a little bit better. Way too often it turns into an empty promise, right? You start the year off great. You know, you're going to start making changes in your life and you feel good and you're very enthusiastic, but then all of a sudden you kind of fall off and life goes back to normal, or you don't follow through with the improvements in your life that you had promised yourself. Okay, so I want to talk today about what can we do. You and I, this is myself included, what can we do to make sure that we follow through on these New Year's resolutions, these promises that we've made to ourselves? Okay, and I've got a couple of people stepping in here on the telephone to help me talk with you all about this. The first person I want to talk with is a gentleman by the name of Andrew Morrow. He's a personal trainer here in Drummond. He's a very positive-minded person, and Andrew is going to help me talk with you all about how we can approach our physical fitness and follow through on these promises that we make to ourselves about improving our physical fitness or our health in general. Okay? But before we get Andrew Morrow on the telephone line, I want to play another song for you. Here's a song by the Isley Brothers called Here We Go Again, Parts 1 and 2. This is Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. I just love that song. I could play that over and over and over again. I should have saved it for the second hour when we go into some smooth and relaxing soul and R&B. That was the Isley Brothers with Here We Go Again, Parts 1 and 2. My name is John Allen, and this is Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. You guys ready to speak with Mr. Andrew Morrow? I am. Okay, Andrew, thanks for stepping in here and giving us a little bit of insight on what we can do to keep our New Year's resolutions from being just a typical New Year's resolution. What can you suggest that people do in order to make these new promises that they make to themselves, make it more than just an empty promise? How do they make it into something that's going to last the whole year?
Yeah, so for me, the first thing is always to start small and change one habit at a time, and then kind of stack your habits as you go along. So I always talk about the January syndrome or the New Year syndrome in work, where people start, they maybe haven't trained in a number of years or done anything physical in a number of years, and then they join the gym in January. They decide this is going to be the time when they're going to change their life.
Yeah.
And they try to do everything at once. So they try to be in the gym 6 days a week for 2 hours at a time. They try to completely overhaul their diet and their nutrition habits. And after maybe 3, if they're lucky, they maybe get the 6 weeks. It's also overwhelming that they just be like, I can't do this. And they fall off and they revert back to old habits. So the first thing I would say is start small, pick one single habit, whether it's going to be joining the gym and starting to work out, and start from there. And then gradually throughout January and throughout February, start to stack other small habit changes on top.
Okay. If we could break it down into these habit changes, okay, one of them would be starting with some sort of strength training program.
Yep.
One of them is obviously diet. What would a third aspect of physical wellness be? Maybe general motion outside of the actual strength training program. Maybe taking a walk every day, for example.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic one. Daily activity is so important, especially in this time where most people work in sedentary jobs. The majority of people are kind of office-based, so they're not very active throughout their day. So it's really important then, if you're trying to kind of change your overall health and well-being, adding kind of 3 hours a week of exercise on top of 40 hours a week of sedentary work isn't going to actually do a whole lot, especially if your other habits outside of what you're doing in work is also sedentary, like sitting down and watching Netflix or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So we need actually that daily activity, even on the days when we're not in the gym and the days when we're not working. They kind of recommended, the general recommendation is to aim for 10,000 steps a day. But again, I would say for many people, that's maybe too big of a jump. You know, if you're only completing maybe 2,000 or 3,000 steps a day, it's quite a stretch to try and get straight to 10,000. So again, just those small changes.
Yeah.
You could start aiming for 7,000, and then the next month try and aim for 8, and then the next month try and aim for 9, and then finally get to 10.
What I've advised people to do is first just take the step of calculating how many steps you take a day, and then that will be whatever it is, you know, without them doing anything extra. Just calculate how many steps you take in a normal day, and that's including whether you have an active job or a sedentary job, just sitting around. And let's say, for example, the person has 2,500 steps per day, then I would suggest that they have a week of consciously taking 2,600 steps a day. And then the week after that, raise it up to 2,700. And then all of a sudden they realize that those 100-step increases are too small. And then they make a conscious effort to go all the way up to maybe 5,000 steps a day.
Yes,
it's important to kind of put it in perspective, isn't it? Because a lot of people who have never trained their bodies before, the whole concept of training their body and having a routine on that can be quite a large and scary thing to do. But all of a sudden they realize if they do that method with the steps, for example, they realize it's not that difficult to make increases.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the honest, the best advice that I can give to anyone who's trying to make those changes is to just start with those, break it down into its most minimal chunk of what you can possibly do, and then build on it from there.
What do you say to the person who, now this is something that I hear let's talk about Norwegian people, for example. Norwegians pride themselves on being very active out in nature, taking a walk up in the mountains or through the countryside. And while that is a great thing to do, the element of having a more direct goal on making progress is missing when you count on those walking trips to be your activity. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you say to that person who thinks they're getting everything they need because they're out walking in the sunshine? It's a good thing, but is it enough?
It's absolutely a good thing, and it's one of my favorite things about Norwegian culture actually is the kind of the focus on the outdoors and being active throughout all seasons. What I would say is, while walking and hiking will challenge the body to a degree and will challenge the cardiovascular system to a degree, it doesn't do a whole lot for the musculoskeletal system, so the muscles of the body, essentially.
Yeah.
They have to be placed under resistance through a full range of motion in order to be fully trained and fully stimulated. And walking in the woods or even hiking a steep mountain won't do that to a high degree.
Yeah.
You simply don't go through a high range of motion on the legs, even though walking up a steep hill will challenge the leg muscles to an extent. They don't get that full range of motion at the hips or the knees.
And
that's where
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's where a kind of more focused and targeted resistance training program can be really, really beneficial, because one of the greatest impacts of aging on the body is a loss or a decrease in muscle mass.
Yeah.
So as we get older, our muscle mass starts to decrease year on year on year. And the only way that we can actually maintain that, which will help us to maintain our strength and independence as we get older, is to actually stimulate and train that muscle mass through a targeted resistance training program.
Yes. It's, I want to say a couple of things. I want to say that I think it's very important that people have a well-rounded training and fitness routine. And that includes things like taking your walks, but also a strength training program on top of it, and also a conditioning program on top of that, whether it's swimming or whether it's walking out in nature, but having a time challenge on yourself or a speed challenge, to get that the heart and lung conditioning thing in order. A lot of people have a tendency to focus on only one aspect of their health and training, but having that all sides covered, that well-rounded routine, is what's going to prolong our lives in the most efficient manner. Am I right?
Absolutely. That's what's going to give the most complete overall health to the body, is making sure that the musculoskeletal system is challenged, the cardiovascular system is challenged, and then maintaining our kind of joint health through mobility work as well must be mentioned.
And when it comes
I would say those are the three pillars of physical fitness: would be your strength, your cardio or your conditioning, and your mobility.
And I would say also, when it comes to the strength training aspect of our health, there's no need for people to be afraid of that. And some people are. You get to a certain age, and if you've never engaged in a strength training program, people can have a tendency to fear that, or at least to not see the importance of it. But the thing is it's never too late to start strength training. It's never too late to do whatever you decide to do for your health. It's never too late. And you will always reap benefits once you start with something or another.
100%. And I can actually give a couple of examples there.
Please.
I have, so for those who don't know, I work as a personal trainer full-time in a gym. And I have had clients come to me in their mid-70s to do strength training for the first time.
Yeah.
And after just a number of weeks, reporting how much easier everyday tasks have become on them. Walking up hills or stairs that they used to walk up before and used to be a challenge has all of a sudden become easy. And just their general independence around the house as well, being able to complete their household chores without any assistance. All becomes possible to them simply because they start to stimulate and challenge their muscle. They get that little bit stronger, they get that little bit more mobile, and they get that little bit more confident to actually complete these tasks alone without having to ask for help.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
It's amazing.
And I tell you, for the last couple of years, I've been training at my own gym here at home. But when I was training out in commercial gyms, one of the most beautiful things to see was that elderly person, 65, 70, 75 years old, in the gym working on their strength and conditioning. It's never too late, people, to do something for your health. Andrew, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day. Here I am ripping you away from your beautiful family just so you can jabber with me on the radio program.
It's always a pleasure, John. It's always a pleasure.
I got to get you back here in the studio when things calm down and we both have the time and the ability. Get you back here in the studio, man. We'll have another conversation. How's that sound?
100%. Love it every time.
Everybody, this is Andrew Morrow. He's been on my program before. I challenge everybody to go on social media, check out Andrew Morrow and his forgive me. What is your program called?
Strong Dad Project.
I almost said Skinny Dads. Strong Dads. Strong Dads Project.
I turned them from skinny into strong.
There you go. See, there you go. I wasn't too far off. Andrew has a wonderful program. It's getting results for people. It's called the Strong Dads Project. Go on Andrew's social media. I highly recommend you do that on Instagram. Andrew Morrow, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time. Thank you.
You're welcome, John. My pleasure.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
All right, there you go. Straight from Andrew Morrow's mouth and into your ears. Let that wash around in your head for a little while. Now, just a little while. Don't think on it for too long. Put it into action. Let this be the first day of your new year with a new standard for your health. Okay? Now, the next person I'm going to be speaking with after a little music break here is Miss Kim Fairchild. You guys know her. Vocalist, musician, actress, very vocal on social media and issues that affect us all socially here in Norway. Great person, great friend. I can't wait to talk with her. She's going to talk with us about how to keep a positive mindset for the entire year. Not that you just promise yourself that you're going to be positive all year, but that you actually are positive all year long. Okay? It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of effort to make these things happen. Along those lines, here's a song by Prince called Let's Work. This is Coming Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. And here we are, everybody. I have with me Kim Fairchild on the telephone. I love Kim Fairchild. She's one of the most she's filled with so much humor. She's filled with so much positivity, and that's why I'm talking with you right now, Kim Fairchild.
Hello.
Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely fine. Christmas is over, so now I'm waiting for spring, actually.
Waiting for spring. you're don't get ahead of yourself now. Live in the moment. It's January 1st. Spring is a little way off.
Right. It's a new year, of course.
A new year. Listen, the reason I have you on is to talk about positivity. You know, everybody has their New Year's resolutions, and a lot of people resolve or they promise themselves that they're going to live more positive for the year, but then they watch the news, or then they have a less than positive conversation with somebody, and then that focus on staying positive is gone, and it's just another typical New Year's resolution. How does this work for you? How do you stay so positive?
Well, for many years, I don't have New Year's resolution at all.
Aha. Step one, Step one to having a successful New Year's resolution: don't have a New Year's resolution. Step one.
That's one way to deal with it. And some years I do.
Yeah.
This year I will have, because this year, because of COVID and everything has been, bad in many ways.
Yes.
And so you have to this year, I am going to try very hard to understand that I'm living in a new age.
Ah. Okay, let's dig into that.
Let's think about it for 2 months now.
Okay. 2 months of thought about this now. Let's dig into that. What does that mean, living in a new age?
Well, it is that I cannot, the stuff I used to live of, traveling and playing my music and being on theaters and doing different parts. And now it has been none of that. Right. And I have written a book. Mostly I wrote the book for myself to get something to do. But
tell them the name of your book. Let's get that out there. Tell them the name of it.
It is The First. And it's about being a black child in a completely white society in 1968 called Osgøy in Norway. Yeah. And how it was to be outside of society, because I was always an outsider, but then I was an outsider also in my own family. I was kind of the black sheep of the family always. I was born like that.
I see, yeah.
So I've always been different, and I always, I prefer to go by my own ways and in nature instead of going in the flock.
I see. And in those efforts to nurture your differentness, I would imagine there are moments of frustration, and then there comes a decision that has to be made. Do you wallow in that frustration and fall into the negative aspects of life, or?
Oh yes, like everybody else.
Yeah.
I think, I feel sorry for myself and why didn't I fit in and stuff like that. And then I go into my quiet place. I have a quiet place inside of my head.
Yeah.
And I move away all the boxes, all the signs that says you have to, you should be doing, you're not good enough, and everything you should be done. And I just think that I am here now. And I have a purpose because it's only one me in the world.
That's right.
I'm the only me in the world.
That's true.
So,
wouldn't that be a revelation? That can actually be a significant revelation for people if they land on that very fact that they are the only them in the whole world. And
Yes.
now what do you do with that?
And that is actually, when you really sink your teeth into that one, it's a big one.
Yeah, it's quite
That
empowering.
you are the only you.
Yeah. And there's a lot of power and control in that, actually.
Yes, and then I realized, as I grew up, I realized actually that being me was my superpower.
Your superpower, yes.
And it was mine and only mine. And actually, it's the only thing that you own for the rest of your life.
And this is
Your
something...
whole life.
Yeah, and this is a realization that you came across at a relatively young age. Is
Yes.
this realization what fuels your positivity today?
Yes, it is. I did this when I was like 10 years old because, the other kids used to pick on me
Yeah,
for being different. Not only for being black, but also because, I was different inside. I really didn't like to play with other kids.
okay. Huh.
I would like to stand in a corner and watch them.
Yeah,
And I have been doing that like as long as I can remember, watching people, watching how they interact.
yeah.
And that's, and I'm still doing it. And I guess that's the reason I became an actor, because, I kind of do these. Everybody says to me, how do you get the fantasy to make, other personalities? But it's you.
Yeah,
I watch you.
yeah.
And then I make my own version of you, and I put it to the stage.
Well, I was just going to say, you're more than just an observer of life. You observe life, but then you put it to practical use.
Yes, I do. With all its beauty and all its ugliness.
Yeah, both sides.
Yes.
Because there is a duality to life. There is a duality to existence. Living if someone were to make a New Year's resolution to live a positive life for the next year, that doesn't mean everything is going to be perfect, because
No.
living a positive life, that entails experiencing all of life, and not all of life is
That's right.
roses.
Because, we are so afraid of pain.
Yeah,
And that we are so afraid of not being 100% successful all the time. You can't. The first thing you have to understand is you can't be.
yeah. You can have a pretty good streak of success, but eventually you're going to meet a hump in the road, and things are going to
Yes.
go bad.
Yes, and then you have to realize that that's okay.
Yeah, it's life. It's life.
It's life, and then you it's okay to get up a morning and says, well, this is a shitty day.
Yeah, yeah.
And then instead of feeling sorry for yourself, just think that, okay, this is a shitty day. It's going to be a shitty day. I can take it.
Now, Kim, you're such a wise woman. Tell us, what is your suggestion? Everybody has fears, and some people have this fear of pain, and that fear of pain will cause some people to have some self-imposed limitation. In other words, they're not going to enjoy life the way they could if they weren't so afraid of pain or of not reaching a goal. What is your suggestion for people on how they can overcome that fear of pain, or that fear of not being successful at everything?
You have to think about what's the worst case scenario.
What's the worst that can happen? Yeah.
Yes, and I always do that when I have to take chances on something new, or I have to, I don't know if I have to, I know I don't have to say yes to this kind of invite, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
And if I am in doubt, I always ask myself, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And if that happens, could you handle it?
Yeah.
Will it kill you, or could you handle it? Can you handle to, like have no money for 2 weeks and only eat dry bread and water? And I have been doing that.
Yeah.
It did not kill me.
It didn't kill you.
And when it was over, the beating was over. And then I grew. You see?
Well, I'm a believer in embracing the challenges of life. Embrace that pain. Embrace those failed missions that you're on, because there's always something to learn. And
Yes.
in the midst of an unsuccessful endeavor, there is the success of learning something from that lack of success. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's I embrace the challenge. I even embrace the defeat, or I embrace the actuality of not achieving what I actually set out to. Embrace that and learn from it. That, I believe, can help people to live a more positive 2022.
Yes, and I think also if you think about, we always compare ourselves with other people.
Yeah.
And
Stop
that
that, people.
you should
Stop
do
that.
very little of. Don't do that.
Look to people for inspiration, but that direct comparison is there's very little good that comes of that. But I do
Yes.
believe in looking to people for inspiration. For example, I look to you for inspiration. That's why I'm on the phone with you right now. I knew that you, Kim Fairchild, could say something to help me and my listeners and viewers get through 2022 in a little
Yes.
bit better way than just making that a series of New Year's resolutions that we don't live up to.
I think this is going to be a year that is to an amount is going to be the same as 2021.
Sure.
That's what I think.
It's
And
gonna, yeah.
People don't want to hear it, but that's what I think, and I am prepared for that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of people, they want change. They want change
I think so.
for the better. We all do, in every aspect in life. But then I see a lot of people doing the same thing, and they are expecting different outcomes. If you want a different outcome, you have to do a different thing,
Yep. If you want a different outcome, you've got to have a different input.
Yes. And that is very simple, but a lot of people don't see that. I see people trying to solve their problems the same way they have been doing for 10 years, and it never gets solved.
Well, I think people get so caught up in that never-ending circle of frustration and negativity that they don't see the simple, obvious answers.
Yes.
It's so easy to do that. So people need to find that daily reminder. And that reminder should not come externally. It has to be an internal reminder, I believe. Where
Yes.
you keep yourself somewhat, you don't have to be fanatical about it, but stay somewhat focused on your goal towards
Yes.
positivity. And it has to be a daily internal reminder. Listen, Kim, I have to break for some music, but I want to thank you for coming on. I don't like to use the word fan because it sounds kind of creepy, because I'm not a fan. I'm a friend. I call you sister.
You're a fan friend.
I'm a fan friend. Let me say this. I really admire everything about you and the way you tackle life and what you put out there for people to digest and think over.
Thank you.
I absolutely adore it. Please continue to do what you do. Thank you for gracing my show for these. Thank you for gracing my show for these last few minutes.
Thank you.
So I understand you're going to be traveling. I want to wish you safe travels. And
thank you so much. I'm going to have a train. I'm going to sit on a train. I'm going to think. Look at the window and think.
Do that.
Yeah.
Kim Fairchild, everybody. Here's some music for you. And it's a song by Kim Fairchild called Crossroad. You're listening to Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. Prince with Money Don't Matter tonight. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, I'm a Prince fan. So that's my second song by Prince in this broadcast. And you know what? I just might play another one. Okay? Money don't matter tonight. You know what? For some people, money matters more than most. You've all heard the saying, money will not buy you happiness. That's true. Money will not buy you happiness, but money will certainly pay for the search for happiness. Money is a factor for some people. Remember, there's people out there who are not doing as well as you and I. I'd like for you people to keep that in mind. And as you keep that in mind, as you reflect on that, if you want to give to those who are in need, go to my website, johnallenpod.com, JOHNALANPOD.com. go to the menu and click on Loyal Oak Hands, Hands, johnallenpod.com, at Loyal Oak Hands in the menu, and then you will see a handful of people that I'm trying to shine a positive light of love and uplifting concern for these people who are in need of help. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a song by the Hellbillies. It's called Pogong. That song really does something to me. If you're not a Norwegian, or if you don't speak Norwegian, rather, you don't know what that song is about. But that song, that band, and that particular song was one of my first introductions to Norway. And there's a part in the post-chorus that really, really grabs me, and it translates directly to English, where they say, I know I will find your house, you will remember my name, and the next time for us two, we will drive in a big limousine. Of course, it rhymes in Norwegian, and it makes a little more sense in Norwegian, but the direct English translation, that is what he is saying. And you can believe me, while that song was playing, I was singing it out loud quite well, I must say, and also in the proper dialect. I love that song. That dream is about goals. That dream is about achieving your goals. This radio broadcast today is about goals. It's about what you want to get done for the year 2022. So I love that song. It does something to me. It does something for me. It lifts me up. And I hope it did the same for you, especially if you understand Norwegian. Now, we're a little bit past the top of the hour, and I hear somebody's been knocking on the door, waiting on me. Hold on, let me go open the door and see who that is out there. I bet you I know who it is. Oh, yeah, hey, girl, what's up? Come on in. Hey, listen, it's a new year, but it's the same routine. Have a seat, dim the lights, light a candle, put your feet up, let go of all your day's frustrations. It's okay to be frustrated, but there comes a time when you have to let those frustrations go, and that time is now. You're listening to Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24, and here we go with an hour of solid but smooth R&B, soul, maybe a little bit of instrumental jazz as well. Here's Kenny Burke with Rising to the Top. You know, I wonder what we could get done if we had just a touch more love. You gotta wonder. Well, you don't have to wonder. I wonder, though. How about that for 2022? A little bit more love in our lives, a little bit more love in everything we do. There's nothing wrong with doing what is good for yourself, but how about thinking of others at the same time? I don't mean to preach or tell y'all how to live, but caring for others is, I look at it like this. If the least of us in society have a little bit more, then doesn't that benefit all of society? And by the least of us, I'm talking about people who are poor, who have the least money, the least freedom in their lives. If they have a little more freedom, little more money to do the things that they need to do just to survive, if they had it a little bit better, then all of society would benefit. We would all have it a little bit better. Okay, that's my thought for the moment. Try and carry that thought through all of 2022. See what that does for you. Here comes the Gap Band with a nice groove called Year. Now, I had a pretty good 2021. I did. I'm quite a fortunate man. I really am. I'm surrounded by some good people who really show me love. I know. I've made a decision. I know I'm going to have a 2022 that's even better. And here's the thing, people. I want to take you with me. I want to pull some people along with me and make 2022 the best that it can possibly be. But that means you got to stay in touch. You have to be here on this station or on the live stream, listening, being with me, sharing the love, feeling the love, and feeling the groove. Can we shake hands and make a deal on that? Okay, let's give it a try. Next song coming up is by Heatwave, and it's called Ain't No Half Steppin'. You're listening to Comin Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24. I have a challenge for you, and that is that you make 2022 the best possible year it can be for you. Even though we're starting off this new year with some of the same challenges that we had last year. And you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say the C word, do I? You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Who knows what's going to happen as far as people having to be isolated? Who knows what's going to happen as far as how much people are able to work? There's some people out there who may lose their jobs. Who knows what's going to happen with people's financial situations, with your mental health, and with your physical health? Nobody knows the answers to those questions. But what we do know is that each and every one of us wants to have a better life. We know that each and every one of us wants to have a better year for 2022 than what we had for 2021. I think we can agree on that. I think I can get a big, loud, echoing amen on that. We all want that. So what I put out there for you people is that if we all want that, let's pull for each other. Look inward and take care of yourself, but look outward and look at those around you and help to take care of them as well. If you do that, I guarantee you, your life will benefit as well. It will. There's just no doubt in my mind. Can we shake hands and make a deal on that? Now, let me give you some facts before I let you go, okay? Your ears are tuned in to Fresh FM 24. Your hearts and minds and your very souls are tuned in to Comin Home with John Allen. I am John Allen, and I am tuned in to you. You better believe it. And now we're at that part of the show where I have to leave you. Yeah, but it's just for a little while. I'll be back, and I hope you'll be back as well. This is Comin Home with John Allen, and you've been listening on Fresh FM 24. Happy New Year, okay? This is the beginning of a new year. It's the beginning of a new set of opportunities. It's also the beginning of a new set of challenges for you. And as you march through this year of 2022, you're going to have some decisions to make. So I want to close out the show with a song by Heatwave called Mind Blowing Decisions. Great little jam. Feel it. Get up and dance if you like. But if you want to stay seated with the candles and the, leaning back and chilling out, do that as well. And you know what I want you to do also? Until the next time we talk, I want you to go out there and love and be loved. And most of all, enjoy the process. Peace and love to you all. Take care now.